Star Fox 2 before that came out.
Oh, right.
Before that
Super Nintendo one? Yeah.
Because it just like, looked great. I don't know, I just like that look. Like, as they added graphical fidelity to Star Fox, I think I liked the universe a lot less.
Okay.
It was just like, oh, the Arwings are just a spaceship, huh?
Well.
Like, seeing the polygonal look, no, I know that they have it unlockable.
Do you have the Fox amiibo?
No.
Okay.
No.
I have 2 of them, and if you tap it on the thing, you turn into the Super Nintendo, and your squad turns into
that doesn't help. That doesn't help. It's too late.
It makes the sound effects and everything.
That sounds kind of neat.
Super FX chip, and your Wii U.
Kind of cool.
Right there on the disc.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Star Fox just always seemed like this really cool game. Like, when that first game came out, it felt like magic.
Yes.
You were just like, why would a Super Nintendo even be able to do this? And when you remove it from that kind of like what wizardry happened to make this game, and just say like, oh, we made a space shooting game, which is what it was every game past that since Star Fox 2 got canceled. It's way less interesting. I don't know. Yeah. It just never grabbed me at all.
Yep. Yeah.
But man, Star Fox 1 is an awesome fucking game.
It's really cool.
Holy shit.
64 is so similar in the way it's formatted. Like, 1 had the branching paths.
Yeah, but it was novel at that point. It was, again, like that whole game was novel at that point.
Yeah.
It's like even the talking animals and stuff. You were like, oh man, cool.
But in 64, Andross just turns into a brain and eyeballs if you do it right.
And then I walked past your desk and literally a fucking frog popped up on the screen and said, do a barrel roll.
It was the rabbit. It's Peppy that says do a barrel roll, but yes, he does say that again.
Well, okay.
Falco's still a dick.
I was just like, all right, keep our lore straight, please.
Yeah. Outside of that, Jeff, I know we're probably both around the same amount into the new Ratchet & Clank.
Yes,
which
the new Ratchet & Clank.
Yeah, the Street Fighter the movie,
the game.
Ratchet. Yeah,
totally.
It seems real cool. And I realized that, the last full Ratchet & Clank was that, I think was it a crack in time? Like,
probably,
2010, 2011, the one with all those cool little puzzles?
I did not like the PS3 Ratchet games one bit.
See, I like Tools of Destruction in crack in time.
And even like Ratchet 3 at that point, like the third Ratchet.
Arsenal, that's the best one.
Yeah, but at that point, like I'd played 2 of them, and so it was just like, by the time I got 3, which is where they really started making changes, because 2 was a lot like 1.
Okay.
I think I had a different HUD color. It was like, oh, this one's red.
I think I came in perfectly to that series because it was like the early days of college and in high school when the first 2 were coming out. I was like, I'm too old for this. This is like my little sister plays this game, and she loved it.
Where's my Pokemon Stadium? We got some
exactly. So I thought I was like too old for this kiddie game or whatever. And then the third one came out, and I remember like IGN or something gave it a 9.8. And I was like, wait, really? Are these supposed to be really good games? I was like, fuck it, I'll just go buy Up Your Arsenal, and I did. Turns out it's really great.
Totally. And that's probably the peak of the series in a lot of ways. It was kind of where I like became less interested in it because it was the third one.
It's my favorite,
but also like in terms of like refining the game and giving you a lot of options and stuff. Like 3 is probably the creative peak.
Yeah, I remember all the weapons were awesome. Like the level up stuff seems substantial.
That was where they really got into that aspect of it. I think it was just one of those things where it's like having played through 2 tales of Lombax and Robot Man. By the time third one rolled around, the jokes did not hit as hard. The story was not as interesting.
Yeah, for me, I think it was more like I like the writing and the comedy in those games. I think they work. But for me, it was more about the weapons and like the action. Like those games were so much more action heavy than I expected before I played them. I thought it was more kind of Jack and Daxter platformy. But man, there's just a lot of shooting in that game.
I feel like they got better. They got a lot better at just saying like, here, make sure the player knows that there's ammo everywhere.
Yeah.
So that you don't fall into this trap of saving all your ammo and just using the wrench. Because I probably played through most of the first game just using the wrench.
Oh, really?
Like just in case.
Oh, geez.
Just in case, man. But yeah, they by the time they got to round 3, they probably got a lot better at conveying that sort of stuff to the player.
And that was always very rewarding.
Just fucking blast everything apart with these dumbass weapons.
Yeah, and there's just 8,000 boxes everywhere and constant bolts just flying at your face.
Right, yeah. So by not liking those games, or kind of just like being over them for a good chunk of time, like this new one, this remake, this reboot is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, like the level
even though it's like a remake of the first one.
Yeah,
oh, wow, okay.
it's not a full remake. It is
a reimagining.
It is based on the movie, which is based on the events of the first game. Okay, so the movie is basically a retelling of the Ratchet and Clank origin story, and then they made a game based on it.
Right.
And then the game goes out of its way to let you know that it knows that.
Yeah.
So like right out of the box, there's you're running into a guy who's just like, if I met you before, and he's like, see you in the next reboot. There's like dumb jokes like that.
Nice. Okay.
And like you get a lot of like Ratchet just looking around going, what?
Yeah.
All right, well, whatever.
And like Captain Quark being confused by like, no, there's the holofilm, and then there's the disc that you play.
Right.
Yeah.
And that actually is the framing device for the story. Is it's Captain Quark kind of retelling the events to someone, which I don't know. Captain Quark's actually like kind of my least favorite part of the franchise, but whatever. I think it works well enough here, and gives them an out for when they want to deviate from what the first game was. It gives them like a narrative out for that stuff too. It looks really nice.
Yeah, it seems to be running at about 30 probably.
Yeah, but just like image quality in terms of just like the character looks
awesome.
Really nice. Like it's a good looking game.
So I was reading that the people making the movie and Insomniac were trading assets back and forth. So like they would make the 3D like the CGI model for the movie and send it over, and they would tweak it to make the anime better in the game. And they were sharing this so there'd be parity between the movie and the game, which all sounds really cool. It sounds like they're probably doing this right as far as the movie and game stuff. Like the trailer got really good reactions. So I'm actually curious to see it. I'm never really
there's a pacing to the dialogue and stuff in this that like the comedy works.
Yeah,
because it's well timed, it's well paced. Like all the stuff that you kind of need to make that stuff works. Yeah. And that's really hard for games to get right, and a lot of them don't. So you got to give them all the credit in the world for that, because that stuff's real hard. But hey, I completely forgot that there was a Ratchet and Clank movie even coming out. Like this month, which is crazy.
Yeah, they delayed the game or both of them so they could like come out around the same time.
Makes sense. I remember seeing this game running for the first time back at the PlayStation Experience, and I was just kind of walking past and going like Ratchet, whatever, and I actually stopped for a second. Actually, holy shit! Like, like when you really look at these environments and stuff like that, like compared to what Ratchet has looked like, also just like this actually looks pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
There's some stuff about the shooting that I don't love, but whatever.
Yeah, I like the new upgrade system for the guns, like where it's got this kind kind of branching like sphere grid type thing. And once you encompass these question mark ones, you get kind of these bonus upgrades, and you don't know them until you get them. And, I think I'm excited for this one because like they put out Quest for Booty, and I think there might have been one other one that was just like this downloadable, smaller Ratchet game.
Wasn't Quest for Booty the downloadable one?
Yeah, that was the one on PS3. I can't remember if they made another one past that. But Quest for Booty I think was the most recent one.
I thought Crack of Time came after Quest for Booty. Wasn't Quest for Booty a DLC for Tools of Destruction?
What was the tower defense one?
Oh, that was, are you thinking Deadlocked? That was before that.
That was a weird period in Ratchet history.
That was a dark. That was the end of console. Well, let's get one more of these out.
That was between After Arsenal and Tools of Destruction.
Oh, right.
Probably late PS2 even, I think.
And then there was
Secret Agent Clank for PSP and PS2.
They did that Ratchet Alpha 1 game.
Right, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Ratchet has been all over the place.
Yeah, like there hasn't been a full one since A Crack in Time.
They made some mistakes along the way.
But at the same time, like, man, like main Burbank Insomniac, like kind of, here and there with different stuff, and like meanwhile the other Insomniac studio just thrumming away with Ratchet games on the regular.
Into the Nexus was PS3.
That's okay,
Like they have been cranking out Ratchet games steadily.
Full Frontal Assault.
Oh yeah,
in 2012.
Yeah, so like, all these
are kind of like one Ratchet game a year forever.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you're right. They
Yeah,
founded that second studio in North Carolina, and they've just been ratcheting for
man. That's like an ever. It's really wild. Like, yeah, I'm trying to look back into this. Like, yeah, Pure Arsenal in 2004 was where like I was kind of like yeah, that was a good one of those games. But by playing the first two in 2003 and 2002, a little boring at that point.
Yeah, whereas if you're jumping on point,
oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, obviously, they're going to keep improving as they make them. Right?
But a lot of fun for me is like in these big full Ratchet games, like seeing like, oh, you got your combustor or your pyro, whatever, and seeing how much more powerful it gets over the course of a long game. Like I felt like the shorter games did not give me that same sense.
Totally.
Whereas like now it's like, oh, okay, this is going to be a big full ass game. I'm looking forward to watching this progression. So yeah, I'm way in the mood for this game right now.
Yeah, like I'm looking at it.